Welcome back to the Broken Kid Podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're going to be talking about, as you probably read the thumbnail, we're going to be sitting down and we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it like Freddy Krueger got into me. Well, that came out wrong. Into my dream. Specifically, now this happened several years ago. Now, for people who think that, people don't know this, but the Freddy Krueger movies are actually based on a true story. Robert Englund actually wrote it based on a dream he had, and nobody believed him, and they thought he was crazy. So he was like, "I'm gonna do what everybody in Hollywood does: profit off of their crazy stories." Now, it could have just been that he probably did too much coke. Stephen King did a lot of coke, and he wrote some of his worst novels on cocaine. And you know what the great thing is? He doesn't even remember writing them, but we do. We're stuck with them. We're stuck with reading all those shitty books and shitty movies. I don't even know if he did Christine. If you don't know this, look up Christine by Stephen King. It's a book and then a movie. The movie is worse than the book. If you think that what Disney has been doing for years is horrible, or for the last few years of turning intellectual property from animation cartoons into live action is bad, just wait until you see what he did with books and then turning them into movies. Now, it wasn't his decision to turn them all into movies. You know, people were like, let's turn this into a movie. It did good as a book. And anyhow, it was about the summer of '89. I remember this. And, you know, like I said, the stories of Freddy Krueger, they're all true. They're all based on a true story. There was, in Elm Street, I used to live there. Now, there was a kid named Robert Englund who was kind of crazy. He used to be abused as a kid, get bullied as a kid. He used to get everything as a kid. And all this stuff. And, you know, it was just an interesting story because, I remember hearing stories about him years prior, but I was a kid. So now I'm in high school, right? Now I'm in high school. And I'm just confused by everything that's going on because I start having these weird dreams. And they were about girls. And I remember waking up with, like, wetness in my, in my groin area. I later found out that it was normal. But then I started, if I thought those dreams were weird, I had dreams about my fucking 10th grade teacher. If you thought those dreams were weird, you know what else was weird? That I have the Omnitrix on me. Somehow I became the chosen one. But that's a video for another time. Anyhow, I started having these weird dreams. They went from having dreams about girls doing things to me and me doing things to them and making love and all that shit to, the weirdest one was, I thought the worst thing I could dream of was me doing the Cleveland Steamroller on a woman. Then it turned into having some guy with scissor hands come in and attack me. You know what the weird part is? The guy the character who Johnny Depp plays, it's weird how he ended up playing another guy with scissor hands, He was in Edward Scissorhands. And this is, Freddy Krueger is a movie about, Robert Englund plays him, a killer who has scissor hands. And I just remember having my first weird dream about this weird guy who looked like he had like a cheese face, burnt cheese face. And he would always come into my dreams, and he would always kind of like taunt me and haunt me. And it was weird because I had my first dream, and then I left it at that, and I thought I was starting to become kind of like gay or something, and enter like kinky area, kinky town. And I was scared that I was never going to leave Kinky Town. And then I told my friends about it eventually because I had a few more dreams about him. And when I told my friends, it turned out that they were having the same dream too. So then that's when I realized maybe I'm not so crazy. So then what would happen is he would attack. He started. One of my friends ended up dying where he ended up having like a ferocious masturbating accident. And it was staged. This guy was known to be a freak. Like, he loved playing with rope and autoerotic asphyxiation. And, I guess what Freddy Krueger did, him being a sick son of a bitch, he decided to enter his dreams, torture him, and then hang him. Now, of course, what happens in the dream tends to happen in real life. So what happens in real life? His parents walk in his room, and he's hanging from the ceiling with a rope attached to his rope. Now, I mean, he was a weird kid. We all kind of saw it coming, but not like this. And, it was just weird. And, a few more kids ended up dying of inexplicable deaths. Weird. There was a kid who died putting his hand in a blender. I don't know why. I don't even think Freddy Krueger did that. But when he would attack my dreams, Freddy Krueger would come in dressed as this man who was dressed as a lady, and I don't know where that fear came from, but I later found out that I had this repressed memory of this gardener who used to work at the school, who on his free time he would one time me and my friends were walking to, this was while we were in high school, we were in elementary school, but we later ended up meeting him again, well, not meeting him, but seeing him in high school. And when we were kids, we were going to a comic book store. Right next to the comic book store, there was an alcohol store, and right next to the other side, there was a strip club. And one day we were walking, and I don't think he necessarily saw us, but we saw him, and he was wearing a dress, and he was wearing a wig, and we knew it was the gardener from the school. And he later ended up getting captured for murdering people, for murdering 12 girls, and they all happen to be blonde. And that's why I decided don't date blondes, not because they're dumb and bimbos, but because they're because of that I don't want to marry a wife and then have her get kidnapped. But I had this weird nightmare, and I just remember just thinking to myself, this is really weird. And then I ended up seeing who I later found out was Freddy Krueger. We did some research and we found out that this was a guy who Freddy Krueger was actually burned alive years ago in a warehouse. And wait, holy shit! You hear that? Okay, I think we're in a dream world now. We're in a dream state.